Hello, I'd like to tell you about a very useful tool that I often use called Adobe Color. Now, some of you are going to be better at choosing colors than others. Me, for example, I'm terrible with colors, and my wife will tell me every time that things don't match, and that's just the way I am. I can't match colors, okay? And I've noticed that, certain students are really good at it, some are not. But anyways, if you're like me, this is a very good tool called Adobe Color. The easiest way to find it is just to Google Adobe Color and probably end up being the first result. And it gives you this nice color wheel, which will appear in a second. And it really helps you choose colors that match well together depending on various rules. Okay, so for example, here chooses many shades of this color that kind of look nice together. And you can see that it gives you the hex codes for each of these colors. Okay, and I think if you set some options, you can also go for the RGB, the red, green, blue. So I think they're down here, although they don't seem to be visible. Oh, there they are. Okay, so there's, if you want to use RGB, red, green, blue, use that. And what's also nice is that you can actually drag these around to kind of like modify them as you wish. Okay, and you can use various rules that can be applied. For example, complementary colors. So colors on the opposite end of the spectrum. So these will often give you colors that kind of look nice together. Okay. Having this doesn't mean that you should have to use all of these. When you choose colors, it's often nice to have a dark font on a light background. So if I were to choose this as a background, I'd definitely go for a dark font. Black is, some people overlook black, and you shouldn't. Black is a very good color, very neutral. So you can definitely go with black on a background, light background color of that or something like. Okay. Various rules, monochromatic. Okay, and you can kind of play around with that and look at the different codes. So hex code, RGB, and I should also talk to you about something called RGBA. Okay, what RGBA is red, green, blue, alpha. Okay, and when you set the alpha, I believe it's a number between 0 and 1, and that gives you transparency. Okay, so if you want something that's kind of see-through, that has a fill color, a background color, but you can see through it, then you should use that alpha RGBA. And that's the only way you can get transparency. You cannot get transparency if you define a color like this. But if you define a color as RGBA and you set the alpha, you can get transparency. Let me just see if I can pull up an example of transparency for you. So here I found an example of RGBA on the Samsung site. You can see here text shadow, and the color they choose is this kind of grayish, I guess. It's more of a black, but a transparent black. You can see they use RGBA, so 0, 0, 0 for the RGB, and the last value, the alpha, they put decimal 25. And text shadow, I imagine what they mean is this text here has something that's a text shadow, but lets you kind of see through it so that I can see that image behind the text shadow. So I assume that's what that means. Here's another example of transparency. So you see this this kind of piece of text, and you can see that it has this kind of round background color, which is like a dark gray, but I can actually see through it, so I can like see the car behind the text. You can see the mountains, grass behind the text. So that's a transparency. Okay, so going back to the color wheel, so different ways of choosing color, but what I also really like about Adobe Color is it lets you explore various color combinations. So these are ones that other people have created. So yeah, with like certain themes. And if I want to make a website, for example, I want to make a website about pandas. I'm like, what kind of colors would be good for a website regarding pandas? So I can just search for panda here. And you can see that it'll give me various color schemes that people have used to talk about pandas. And if I click on this, you can see that it brings up here the color codes, and you can explore that further. Okay, so that's Adobe Color for you. Very nice tool. So go ahead and use that to help you with your colors, codes, and choosing your themes.